just a baby in this business of love. I'm a mover, a shaker, like Mac and I could take your last dollar with the throw of the dice. I got a gift for him from heaven above. But I'm just a baby in this business of love.
I still remember vividly what happened after I had sex for the first time. She was lying there naked. I was doing a downward dog over her, pretending I'm the roof of a house. And then I said to her, one day I will marry you. I will win a Nobel Prize for you. And we will live in a big house, happily ever after. See, I was in China then, and I couldn't possibly afford a big house without the Nobel Prize. That's why I threw it in there just to make my promise more believable. And it worked since her legs opened again. Then the Tiananmen Square protest movement broke out. And I was in hunger strike for 6 days. And every day she was there with me. I was deeply touched because unlike me, she wasn't into freedom and democracy and shit like that. She was just there to be with me, risking her own life. I thought to myself, if I ever survive this, I'm gonna marry her. And so I did. 2 years later, I got a scholarship to study mathematics in Carnegie Mellon University. At the port of departure, she held my hand and said, if you see a rainbow in the American sky, that's me missing you. 2 months into my stay in the US, I got a letter from her. There was not a single word, but there was a drawing of a young woman in skirt, standing in front of a vast ocean, her eyes looking longingly towards the distance. Behind her was a house with smoke coming out of the chimney, and in the sky, there was a rainbow. She missed me, and she expressed in such an incredible, imaginative, and creative way that could only be her. I arranged for her to come join me in the US on a spousal visa. And we worked our butt off to save money so that she could also go to school. During the day, I work as a teaching assistant, and at night, I work as a doorman for the business school. And she also worked as a waitress. So life was hard, but we were full of joys. Whenever we had time for ourselves, she would sit on the edge of the bed, her head thrown back, leaning against the wall, her legs slightly open. And that's her way of saying to me, make love to me, baby. And I would be like, yeah. Then she got accepted to Purdue University in Indiana. And every other weekend, I would drive 6 hours each way to see her so that we could, yeah. After graduation, she got a job in New York City. I got one in Nashville, Tennessee. Every other weekend, I would fly to see her so that we could, yeah. So life was not easy, but I was full of hope because we're saving money, we're making money. One day we could afford a big house and we were moving together. The Nobel Prize, that could wait. Then one day I got a call from her. Michael, don't you have a good friend in New Orleans? Why don't you go see him? Don't worry about me, I'll be fine. So I did, I went to New Orleans. Upon arrival, I gave her a call. No one answered the phone. At the end of the day, I called her again. She did not answer. The second morning, I called her again and still no answer. I was a bit worried, so I called her best friend, Jing, who lived in New Jersey. She answered the phone, and after a long and awkward pause, she said, Michael, I hate to tell you this, but your wife, Yuting, she has a lover in Beijing. She met in an internet chat room. She flew to see him yesterday. My whole world just came crashing down on me at the moment. For 3 days, I walked like a zombie along the shoulder of Interstate 65, just watching cars and trucks zooming by me, and kept thinking to myself if I should step into the traffic, because the pain in my heart was so excruciating and unbearable. Let me keep the suspense going a bit longer by not telling you if I step into the traffic. In the end, I did not. Because I have found a new purpose in life. I wanted to win her back. So I quit my jobs and moved to Rockville, because by that time, she was reassigned to Rockville by her company. I asked her out for dinner, and she agreed. I was delighted beyond belief. And during dinner, she said, Michael, I was just bored and trying to have some fun. If you did not find out, we would still be together. But since you found out, we're like a broken glass. We couldn't be put back together again. Besides, he's coming to live with me. I was shocked and devastated for the second time. So he came, moving in with her, sleeping on my bed with my woman. For 3 days, I walked up and down Rockville Pike. My heart filled with rage and revenge. I bought a baseball bat. I went to her apartment and I saw him sitting on my sofa. I just swung and smashed his kneecaps. And I stood there and watched him scream in pain. That was the plan I did not carry out. Instead, I learned acceptance because I still love her. 6 months later, he went back to Beijing and I asked her out again, and this time she confessed to me, Michael, I make a big mistake. If I had known what I'm getting into, I wouldn't have started in the first place. But if he had not come see me, I could still go back to you. But now I'm just too ashamed to face you every day. Please don't be kind to me again. Please, please let me go. I'm too deep in this mistake to turn around. I'm moving back to Beijing with him. The day before her departure, I went to see her. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, smiling at me. Her head thrown back, leaning against the wall, her legs slightly open. I recognize this familiar posture, which used to bring me so much joy. But at the moment, I just couldn't. I didn't feel anything down there. The sexual man in me had already died. Instead, I scrambled for words to say to her, and I heard myself saying, honey, I forgive you. Now go live a new life, free of guilt, because I have already forgiven you. Upon hearing that, tears poured out from her eyes like a broken dam. She cried hysterically, oh, Michael, I'm so sorry I hurt you so bad. I'm so sorry. Do you know how much guilt and shame and regret I endure? I had to see a psychiatrist. And then in an incredible romantic and imaginative fashion that could only be her, she said, if I see a rainbow in the sky tomorrow morning, I will stay. It has been 14 years. Now I'm living in a big house with my wife and 2 beautiful kids. I'm still working on the Nobel Prize. You might be wondering if I'm still married to the same woman. Let me take you back to the morning following that fateful night. I look up to the sky, and there was no rainbow.